Good evening and welcome to Terrell ISD, our Performing Arts Center. I'm Kelly Rogers, Superintendent, and it is a pleasure for me to welcome you tonight and for us to host tonight's event. I'm going to start the program right out and introduce Michael French, Superintendent from Quinlan, and let him begin by... Appreciate it.
It's time to educate you, because tonight is about two sets of people. Number one, and always number one, the students. You can clap for that. Number two is about the educator. So if you're an educator, please stand up and be recognized for what you do. If you are an elected official at the local level or the regional level, chamber, board director, county judge, or a school board member, it's always good for me to mention that. Please stand. I believe we have one state representative here. Lance Gooden, will you please rise? And I'd like to say a few words about Lance. And Senator Dole, I think he just walked in and he's going to be here. And both of these guys, I will tell you, are champions for children. We don't always agree with them, but they always listen. And for a lawmaker to listen, that's paramount. And they will listen to you, and I've talked to these guys extensively. They want to hear from their constituents. So if you have a concern, Representative Lance Gooden and Senator Bob Dole will listen. They're not going to promise you a vote, but they will listen to you, and that's what you want out of your lawmaker. So I appreciate you being here. We're going to talk about tonight's agenda. Let's frame the lesson plan real quick. If you know about the fundamental five, then we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about four things today: the truth about Texas public schools, vouchers, high-stakes testing, and teacher retirement system. We have a simple goal, and when you leave here tonight, we want you to be informed and prepared to make your voice heard across the state of Texas. Prepared, informed citizenry to make your voice, not my voice, not their voice, heard across the great state of Texas.
This is home. This is where I feel the most important people in my life are. This is where, it all started. So at the end of the day, this is where I always come back to, because once you lay a foundation, you always got to come back to it. I went to Mary Moss, and then I ended up going to Canada, and then I went to Kimbrough Middle School, and then you know the rest, Norman Ski High School, only school. My mother was murdered when I was 9, so I could have easily took a path of going the wrong way, selling drugs, doing things that I wasn't supposed to do. My father was there for me, but he worked so much that I fended for myself. From my upbringing, as far as the teachers teaching me how to speak, teaching me how to act, learning respect, you can go left or right. And for me, my path was to stay straight and narrow, to do the right thing and to go out and try to, live my life the right way and put my pride on my shoulders and take it a day at a time. School was a safe place, but sports was my way of expressing myself. Never being a big talker, but always learning how to express myself through sports, express myself through hard work. Because at the end of the day, I knew that all my pain I could put on the football field or on the track or stuff like that, because, nobody really could understand what I went through. So if I put all my pain and all my efforts and give myself 110% every day at what I was doing and what I wanted to accomplish, no one could stop me.
There you go. Don't relax. Oh! Good try. Ice cream on three. 1, 2, 3.
I have roots here. You know, my roots are here. You know, I play Little League football here. You know, my grandmother's here. Both of my parents passed away here. You know, my sweetest and worst times were here. So I feel like this is my city.
It's hard not to cry when I see that. He's a great guy, and we're very proud of him. Tonight, it's my pleasure to introduce Scott Milder, who is our first speaker. Scott and his wife, Leslie, founded Friends of Texas Public Schools in 2004 because of their sincere and very strong commitment to sharing the good news about Texas public schools. They made it their mission to educate Texans about the strengths and the achievements of our students and our districts. They have used newsletters, media advisories, billboards, and radio ads, to name only a few. Scott has worked in several districts in the area of communications, and I'm proud to say that for a while he and Leslie were both part of Mesquite ISD. Currently, he is a principal with SHW Architects, and they generously donate half of his time so that he can manage Friends. He and Leslie are the proud parents of 3 gifted children, and I checked with their grandfather and he agreed, and they all attend Texas Public Schools. So please join me in extending a very warm welcome to a person who not only got frustrated about the negativity of the press and how they depicted public schools, but then he got up and did something about it. Scott Milder.
Any of you ever get frustrated? Oh. Let's see, let me figure out how all this works. I said to turn on the lamp and then go forward. Okay, I'm going to start right here with just a quick story, if you will indulge me. You've all maybe seen this on the news. Maybe not Jane, but maybe some form or fashion of this. You see the crisis in education header on that story. Well, just quickly, I want to tell you why Leslie and I started Friends of Texas Public Schools. She's a high school teacher. And I can clearly remember way back, it's probably about 10 years ago, early in our marriage, we were sitting in our recliners upstairs in front of the television. I think we were watching Law and Order or one of those shows. And I was in my recliner with a bag of Cheetos. She was in her recliner with a stack of papers about that tall, because she was working on grading her kids' papers that night. She had the red pen, classic scene. And so the show rolls off, and you know how right before 10, the anchor will come on and say, tonight at 10. Well, that night they said, tonight at 10, crisis in education. And then they cut the commercial, came back, and then rambled on about how our schools were failing. And Leslie's looking at the TV going, and she said it a little more colorfully. I'm going to clean it up for you. But she looked at the TV and she said, you know what, well, first she threw her red pen down, gently, and said, I am sick and tired of being picked on. Here I am, 10 o'clock at night, grading these kids' papers. I see nothing but success in my classroom, in my colleagues' classrooms. These kids get it. We've got some really bright kids. We've got some really bright colleagues, great teachers, great staff, administrators. And here these idiots are on TV at 10 o'clock at night telling the world how I am a failure. That makes me mad, is what she would say. And she ranted for a couple more minutes, and I let her, because that's what we do, right, husbands? That's what we do. And then finally I said, you've got a lot of challenges in public education, but I believe your biggest challenge is that you have a massive image problem, and what you need is a really good PR campaign. We got to get out there and tell people about the great things that are happening in the public schools, because nobody's telling that story. And she just looked at me like I was crazy, and we went on. So anyway, that was that. But over the next couple of years, we started talking about it more and more. And she said, well, how do we do this? And I said, well, we just need to put up some positive messages. We need to counter some of that negativity with some accurate information about what our schools are actually achieving. And so one thing led to another. We started Friends of Texas Public Schools.